Hi, I'm John Doherty, and today we're talking about P6. It's the fun part, release point, club shaft parallel to the ground in the downswing. And while things are moving really fast at this point, you'd think maybe it's hard to work on something when stuff's going so quickly. It's still a point in the swing where you can pick up some good points, look at video, see where you're at, and then incorporate some ideas to help your strike. So from P5 to P6, the big gist of it and what you're going to see with golf swings is the arm action. So the pivot really at this point has from P4 to P5 has loaded up these arms. So at the top of the backswing, once the lower body went, the upper body initially resisted, that loads up those arms and wrist that final time. Then that load off that chest is sprung off into P6. The first thing to come off is the left arm off the chest. So left arm's on that top pec. It gets slung down from P5, left arm parallel, to P6. And what you see here is that when that left arm comes off the chest, the right arm went from, say, 70 degrees of elbow flexion down to about 120 degrees of elbow flexion by P6. So the right arm is straightening, which is going to uncock the left wrist. So just like the backswing, when the elbow flexes, it cocks the wrist. When the right arm straightens, it begins to uncock the wrist. What you got to be careful of from P5 to P6, the big danger is any muscular action from the right tricep or shoulder muscle trying to straighten or add speed to the golf club, because what happens then is that old early extension thing, because you'll start firing the arm, making the club too long, and you'll either chunk it or have to stand up and time it. Then you fight thins, chunks, back and forth all day long. So the idea with this model is that the pivot initially from 4 to 5 loads the arms. Then the pivot unloads the arms without the arms actually doing any muscular action. That is just going to get slung off into P6. The body's job is to start getting down with the upper body and torso, in particular the right side. So a big mistake from 5 to 6 would be to continue to spin around, just like we talked about the upper body going with the lower body. If you watch Tommy Fleetwood, he does this maximum. So Fleetwood's knees are going to go out from underneath him looking, and his upper body is going to go down, and he's just getting ready to support impact. Tommy Fleetwood impacts with a very flexed right arm. So he's going to get lower to support the more flex in the right arm. The taller you are, the less flex in the right arm. So that's something you'd want to check out. If you're a tall guy with short clubs, your right arm is going to be straighter because it's probably not going to be as comfortable to get Tommy Fleetwood low and to have that right arm as flex. But the idea with the right arm flex is determined based on impact. So we don't want to be locking that right arm out or straightening that right arm out to P6, because then we got to jump off our toes to not chunk it. So the idea here is take that loaded P4 that got you into P5 and then let it unfold as the body starts to work down. The arms are going to come off. That right arm is going to straighten. The checkpoints you're looking at is the right wrist is still bent back. The right elbow is still flexed. You're not using this tricep muscle to straighten that right arm, or you're not trying to use the hands to uncock or square the club face at this point. P6 club face is really controlled with the left hand. So if you look at Hogan and Jordan Spieth with neutral to weak grips, you'll see them control the club face with this torque. This torque closing the face, and they're going to have more of an arched wrist. Guys with strong grips like this, with the club face already square, they're not going to have, if you flatten that, it's going to be too shut. So that stuff you just kind of have to monitor for yourself and what kind of grip you have and where your P6 should be, and that you're not doing some torque, closing torque, opening torque too much to the extreme. But the idea with P6 is we're going to get our body down in position as the knees continue to swing open. So if you look at down the line, you should not see the left leg because the knees should still be going around. Right leg should be flexed. Left leg should be in the straightening process, but not straightened yet. Right wrist bent back. Club shaft should be right on the hands. Right forearm pretty close to on plane, meaning it's pointing pretty close to the golf ball where it's resting. Left wrist should be just barely cocked. But the main thing with the body is from this top position, you're in this side bend. The knees are taking us out back into forward flexion. The knees now are taking us out, and we're getting back into right side bend by P6 to support a good impact position. All right, I hope you picked up some good stuff there. Next time we'll talk about impact. Have a good one.